My name is Marissa Pilger-Sir, and I am a doctoral student in the school psychology program at the University of Oregon and also a graduate employee at the Center on Teaching and Learning. DIBELS 8 subtests assess a range of reading skills, from letter name knowledge to reading comprehension. And there are 6 subtests total, so based on a student's grade level, they'll be administered between 2 and 4 subtests per benchmark administration period. The thing about DIBELS 8 measures is that they're timed, and so we consider students' efficiency as well as accuracy with reading skills. Most of our measures are individually administered and take 1 to 2 minutes per student, with the exception of MAZE, which is a group-administered measure and takes about 5 minutes to administer. Letter naming fluency is a standardized, individually administered measure, and it's a little different from the other DIBELS 8 measures because it's not a measure of a basic early literacy skill. However, it provides a really great measure of risk and is actually really predictive of later reading achievement. In fact, it's the dominant predictor of student success for the fall of kindergarten. So for this measure, students are administered from the fall of kindergarten through the spring of first grade. And students are presented with a probe with 100 upper and lowercase letters that are arranged in a random order, and they're given 1 minute to name as many letters as they can. A score for this measure is determined by the number of letters that are named correctly within 1 minute. Phonemic segmentation fluency is a standardized, individually administered measure of phonological awareness, or the ability to manipulate sounds in words, and it's a great predictor of future reading achievement. This measure is administered from the fall of kindergarten through the spring of first grade, and it assesses students' ability to fluently segment 2 through 6 phoneme words into their individual phonemes or sounds. And it's a 1-minute measure in which the examiner orally presents a series of words and asks the student to verbally produce those individual phonemes for each word. So for example, if the word is sat, the student would say s, a, t. After each response, the examiner presents the next word. A score for this measure is determined based on the number of correct phonemes that the student produces within 1 minute. Nonsense word fluency is a standardized, individually administered measure of the alphabetic principle. And we say that this is a pure measure of students' decoding skills because it assesses a student's ability to apply their knowledge of letter-sound correspondences and their ability to blend sounds together to read words without tapping into other word reading skills. And that's because we're presenting them with nonsense words. This measure is really predictive of reading skills as well. It's administered from the fall of kindergarten through the spring of 3rd grade. So for this measure, students are presented with randomly ordered nonsense words that correspond to different sound spelling patterns that are typically taught in each grade. And in previous DIBELS editions, forms included just VC and CVC words. So those are those 2 to 3 letter words with short vowel sounds, like the nonsense word hap. However, in DIBELS 8, forms introduce more complex sound spelling patterns, such as long vowel sounds, R-controlled vowels, digraphs, vowel pairs, and even some multisyllabic words, with words increasing in complexity with each subsequent grade level. And the student is asked to verbally produce either the whole nonsense word or the individual letter sounds in that word. Students are given a minute to read or sound out as many of these nonsense words as they can, and the final score is determined based on the number of correct letter sounds that they read, as well as the number of correct nonsense words that they either read or recoded correctly as whole words within 1 minute. So word reading fluency is a measure that has not previously been assessed in DIBELS, and it's a measure of reading words out of context. So it's a standardized, individually administered measure of students' accuracy and fluency with reading sight words. So sight words are words that have either irregular pronunciations or common words with regular pronunciations. So for example, on our first grade measure, we have the word black. This is a word that the student has probably been exposed to, but may not have the decoding skills to be able to read. So that's what makes it a sight word. This measure is able to catch kids who might be at risk for reading difficulties that NWF doesn't necessarily catch. And it's administered from the fall of kindergarten through the spring of 3rd grade. For this measure, students are presented with a page of words that are arranged in rows, and the administrator asks the student to read as many words as possible within 1 minute. A score on this measure is determined by the number of words that are read correctly within 1 minute. Oral reading fluency is a standardized, individually administered measure of students' accuracy and fluency with connected text. So this measure assesses a student's ability to read words in connected text and provides a great indicator of students' reading comprehension as well, with the idea that if a student is able to read fluently, they can devote attention to the meaning of the text. This measure is administered from the fall of first grade through the spring of 8th grade, so we now go up to middle school. And students for this measure read a passage aloud for 1 minute, and then their score is determined by the number of words they've read correctly within 1 minute and their accuracy percentage, which can be calculated through the DIBELS data system. MAISE is a standardized group-administered measure of reading comprehension that's administered from the fall of 2nd grade through the spring of 8th grade. And for this measure, students are given a passage that has every 7th word removed and replaced with 3 options, and the student needs to choose the best option of those 3. In 3rd through 8th grade, the first and last sentence are left intact, and in 2nd grade, the first 2 sentences and last sentence are left intact. Students' score on this measure is determined by the number of MAISE words that they've selected correctly, and this measure takes about 5 minutes to administer per classroom.